Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for joining us to our Stella and Chewy's Pettoberfest Facebook Live Lunch and Learn. Today's presentation will be a live Q&A, so please send us any questions you have throughout our presentation, and we will do our best to get those answered for you. Joining us today, we have Kimberly with Stella and Chewy's. Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon. I'm excited to talk about only the good stuff.
We are excited to have you here today. So I first wanted to let you introduce yourself briefly, and then we're going to jump right into our presentation.
Hey, so I am actually down in the Tampa area, so I'm excited to be able to be out with everyone up in Knoxville. I love Tennessee. I moved down from there. I've been with Stella and Chewy's almost 2 years, and I've been in the pet industry since 2005. So been around for a little while, animal enthusiast forever. So I'm familiar with your area and your stores, and your customers are always amazing. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Awesome. So let's jump right into this presentation.
Okay. Well, with Stella and Chewy's, we started off as a raw company because our founder, Murray Moody, adopted 2 older dogs, and one of them was very sickly. So raw is where we started because raw can make such a difference in your life. But now we are a full line company. Not only do we do frozen raw, we do gently cooked frozen. We have our freeze dried and our kibble lines. We also have our wet food, our supplements, and our treats. So we can treat or help you feed only the good stuff to your pet, no matter what way you want to go. We can help you with your kibble needs all the way up to your raw needs. And the fact is, you can mix any of those together and do good things for your babies. So like we talked about with raw. So what's nice is we make all of our own raw and our own freeze dried in our own facility in Wisconsin. So we control our product from start to finish. It is safe, it's natural. Raw is never cooked. And if you think about it, that's what our pets would naturally eat if they were out in the wild, if they had to pick. It's the thing that is most digestible for them as well. It's easiest for their body to break down. Sort of like with us. If you shop the outside of the grocery store and you skip that middle that's all processed, we're all healthier with it. The nice thing is also, after kibble, raw is the most convenient and economical way to feed your pet. People don't realize that, but even getting a little bit of raw or freeze-dried raw, which is the exact same formula as our frozen raw, you just need to rehydrate it. We've removed the moisture. What's beautiful with our freeze-dried raw is the fact that it is it's convenient. It's easy. You keep it in the pantry. You just rehydrate that in a bottle of water or goat's milk or bone broth or fermented fish stock. So many benefits to all of those than just adding it to your pet's diet. The one thing that you will find with our company is we are between 90 to 98% meat, organ, and bone. Why do we do that? We want to mimic that prey diet. We're going to use organic fruits and vegetable in there as well. So we're making sure that it's all good stuff, all healthy stuff, and easy for them to break down. A lot of people want to know why organ meat. Organ meat is the most nutritious. Organ meat feeds the whole body. Animals in the wild will eat organs first, and then from there, we'll eat the muscle meat and the bones. So we want to make sure we're getting in there so we're supporting that body. Anyone that follows Eastern medicine, in Eastern medicine, you feed the organ that's not properly functioning. So if you're having heart issues, you eat heart. Why? Because your heart may not be providing all of the minerals and all of the enzymes that you need. So you're adding it to your body so that you're helping support that. Make sense so far?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I get a little off track, so bear with me. Like I said, freeze dried and our frozen are exactly the same product. The only difference is, and we freeze dry it ourselves in our own kitchens, is we take that frozen product, that raw, we put it into a freeze dryer and we chill it to the point that the moisture actually evaporates, so that it does have sustainability on the shelf. And then when you're looking at products, the next is in the world of least processed to most processed. Next is going to be our raw coated kibble and our raw blend kibble. The beauty of that is we're taking our raw and we're taking cooked and we're putting them together. So you're getting best of both worlds. Why baked? We use baked products. If you think about it, not all kibble is baked. We don't all realize that. But our kibble is baked at 200 degrees. The internal temperature is never more than 194. Why is that important? If you think about when you bake cookies, usually we're baking cookies at 375, 425 for 8 to 10 minutes. Our kibble at 200 degrees and is in and out of the oven in 4 minutes. So it's least processed kibble available. And then what we do is as it's coming through the conveyor, we're actually coating it with our freeze-dried raw. So we're getting even more nutrition to it in the least processed way. What does that mean for you? It's easier for your pet to break it down and digest it. It also means you're going to feed about a third less. So if you're feeding a better kibble, you would actually cut it back by a third to feed ours. And that's important. It's going to go further. You're not feeding as much, and you're also not cleaning up as much. I don't know about y'all, but I have 4 dogs, so the less I have to clean up, the better. And then you get into the cooked products. So we have our Stella Essentials. That is actually going to be a gently extruded product. Most kibble is what's called extruded, meaning it's cooked at high temperatures and high pressure. The beautiful thing with ours, Stella Essentials, is it's only cooked at 250 degrees. So again, less than you'd cook cookies. Meat is the first ingredient, no matter what, both in our baked and in our essentials. And we have organ meat included as well. So we're making sure we're not skipping anything. We're just bringing a product out that follows all of Stella's Only the Good Stuff, but it is more convenient price point for people. So it's a nice entry place for someone if kibble is the best place for you to start. Our wet foods are fabulous in the fact that they are going to be muscle meat. They're bone broth based. We have not only dog and cat tetras, we also have our cat pouches. Why bone broth? Bone broth is phenomenal for skin and coat, for digestion, for joints. And the fact is with the Tetra Packs, why do we like those? They're sustainable, they're recyclable. So we're not adding more metal that's not going to get reused. And then we have our frozen gently cooked. What sets our gently cooked off or different from everyone else's is the fact that we do include organ meat. We don't use any binders to it. You have a little bit of vegetable in there as well, and it's easy to just scoop and serve. It defrosts very quickly. Why do we keep it in the freezer instead of the fridge? It lasts longer that way for you. Okay, guys, let's keep moving. I apologize. I get a little carried away because I get excited.
Oh, you're great.
Okay, so why do we say we're only the good stuff? Well, it starts with our sourcing and our quality. Everything is made here in the US. Also, all of our red meats, like our lamb, our venison, our beef, they're all going to be grass-fed and grass-finished. Why is that important? When an animal is grass-finished, they actually have higher quality fats, and they also have higher omegas. Higher fat isn't necessarily important, quality of the fat. And that's what we're getting with our grass-fed and grass-finished that we have in all of our products. We use cage-free poultry, sustainably wild-caught fish. Again, it's important for us that things are sustainable, that we're doing what's right for the environment. Why do we do most of our stuff in-house? Not only do we control it that way, but we're not having to ship it all over and adding to environmental issues that way. Farm-raised fruits and vegetables and animals. And then we enhance everything with probiotics. Why are probiotics important? Your health, 80% of it is your gut. A healthy gut means a healthy body. And probiotics feed the good bacteria. We all need that good bacteria to keep everything moving correctly. We only use organic fruits and vegetables. Why? Because it's important that they don't have the fertilizers, the pesticides, the chemicals. Our line is going to be potato free across the board, and nothing ever has hormones or antibiotics that have been added to it before we take it. And we never ever source anything from China. Our sourcing. We actually source not only here in the US, but we do source out of Australia and Europe. Why is that important? Sometimes you can get much better quality that way. Australia, you're going to get that grass fed and grass finished, all of those red meats. That's important, like we talked about, for the high quality fats, but less fat, the high omegas. Rabbit, duck, goose, quail, some of our fish out of Europe. Again, because we're going to get those that are raised the way that we want them to be, so that you're getting the best quality. Because as you all know, it's not just a saying, but you are what you eat. The healthier you eat, the better you feel. One thing people sometimes are concerned with raw food is safety of handling. So what happens is we do a process called high pressure processing. What that means is we take that raw product and we put it into a chamber that we actually have at our own facility, and it puts it under pressure 5 times at the bottom of the ocean. What that does is it actually explodes the molecules that are pathogens such as Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria, so that we're not worried about them. We have had independent testing and numerous testing done so that we are not actually losing any nutrients when we do this, but we're making sure that it's safe for you for handling. I don't know if you're aware or not, but in pet food, there is zero allowance for pathogens. It's not the same in people food. People food, there is some allowance because of the thought process that you are going to cook it. You're going to wash your hands. Some of the things to keep in mind also when feeding raw is use stainless steel bowls. Make sure you're washing them every day. Wash your hands after you feed it. You know, little things can make a huge difference. We're all learning that day in, day out anymore. The other thing that we do to make sure that we're only giving you the good stuff is we test everything and we hold it before we send it out. If you ever have a question about any of your products, on the back of the product, there is what's called a lot code. You can go to our website and go to the bottom of the website and you can put your lot code in and it will show you the testing for that product. We want to make sure that we are always giving you the ability to know that what we say is actually happening, and this gives you that ability to go and look at that testing. Okay, so guys, why raw? Understanding a prey model diet. A prey model diet, again, mimics that of our pets before we domesticated them. And it's still important to help them to keep their body healthy, least processed. Dogs and cats are carnivores. Cats are what's called an obligate carnivore. They have to get their nutrients from an animal meat source. They cannot get it. Their body doesn't know what to do with it from a plant source. So we try to replicate that. Like I talked about previously, we try to mimic that whole prey diet where it's 70% meat, 25% organs, and 5% bone. And we make sure that we are compliant with AAFCO. That is who regulates pet food, like the FDA. They follow under there. And when you're dealing with raw products, your nutrients are in their natural state. Again, it's easier for the body to metabolize and actually properly use it. One thing, I feed raw. I have 4 big dogs, and my husband became a fan because there's less cleanup in the yard. That's a big deal. And why is there less cleanup? Because their body's actually absorbing more of it, and they're using it as they need it. With our raw and our frozen, we have patties. They're 100% natural. They're shelf-stable. Like we talked about, 95% meat, organ, bone. What's that other 10 to 5%? That's your organic fruits and vegetables. For those that are trying to do elimination diets, we do have several options that are single source protein. We have several that are poultry-free as well. We highly suggest rotation of proteins. You get different amino acids from different proteins, so make sure that you're aware of that. Like you saw before with everything that we do, it's all made in our own facility here in the U.S., grass-fed, grass-finished, sustainably wild-caught. We add probiotics, organic fruits and vegetables. Everything in our frozen and our freeze-dried lines are going to be grain-free, antibiotic and hormone-free, potato-free, and again, nothing ever from China. I know a lot of customers have questions with your freeze dried, how many patties are actually in a bag? That's something that it's hard to figure out. Well, on average, this is not an exact, if you take the size of the bag, like a 5.5 ounce bag, and double it, you'd have approximately 11 of the patties in that bag. You'd have 28 in the 14 ounce and 50 in the 25 ounce. And that's the question that a lot of you all trying to figure out, how many you have in the bag and how many days it would last for you. Then we have our oven baked is best, our raw coated baked kibble. We use less heat. We talked about 200 degrees. You're getting more nutrition, so you're feeding less. We're only using the good stuff. We're processing it less, so it is easier to digest and break down. And we've got that raw coating, so you're getting raw into the diet. I haven't talked about this, but why get it raw into the diet? A little bit of raw, whether it's frozen or freeze dried, actually not only is it easier to digest, it helps with the teeth. You don't have those carbohydrates that make issues with plaque and tartar on our teeth. Our pets are built for 10% carbohydrates, and you're going to have between 3 and 5% in raw and freeze dried. Your kibbles, you're going to be higher because you have to use starches to hold them together. So you're lowering it when you're adding that freeze dried to the food. And on top of that, like with our raw blend, we've added meal mixers in there as well. Our raw blend line is taking our raw coated kibble and we're adding a bag of meal mixers into it. So you're getting the best of all of it, and you're raising your meat and organ meat in the content as a whole. What's nice with our oven baked is not only do we have grain inclusive, but we do have, or grain free, but we have grain inclusive options as well. There's actually, our grain inclusive options are really nice. They're easy on the stomach with pumpkin and quinoa in there. And we have actually more animal meat protein in our grain inclusive than our grain free, which is important to make sure that we're not dropping quality when we're adding grain to it. So in our raw coated kibbles, you're going to have 65 to 75% animal protein source. We supplement everything we make, whether it's our frozen raw, our freeze dried, our kibble, they're all supplemented with taurine. Taurine is an important enzyme for the heart for our pets. And we want to make sure it's already in there in those organs. That's one of the things that we're making sure naturally is happening in our foods. But we supplement on top of that to make sure there's plenty of it in there and your pet's getting more than enough. We add probiotics to everything, like we've talked about. You're going to have guaranteed levels of omegas for healthy skin and coat. Everything we do is going to be potato free, and we're always going to use organic fruits and vegetables and nothing ever from China. Like we talked about with the baking, it's gently baked, 200 degrees. Why baking? Because it's least processed. We're not cooking all the nutrients from it, so you're not having to overfeed. You're going to feed less, plus the fact that we've added that freeze dried to it. And in our raw blend, not only is the kibble coated with freeze dried raw, we've added meal mixers, which is also a really nice savings as well for your customers. If you would buy a bag of a 3-pound bag of the raw coated kibble and you bought a 3.5 ounce bag of meal mixers, you'd be spending $30. Versus if you bought the raw blend, you're only spending $25. That's a nice savings, and it gets even higher as you go to bigger bags. With our wet foods, our Stella stews are actually made down the road from our facility in the Campbell's Organic Soup facility, which is why we can put 100% human grade on there. I like to say when all heck breaks loose and everyone runs to the grocery store, I'm going to the pet food store. I'm going to go pick up our stews. For you and I, they're a little bland, but for our pets, it's 100% human grade ingredients, USDA inspected meats, organic vegetables. We always use a bone broth base, which is great. Again, you're getting collagen for the skin and coat, for the joints, and for digestion. Also, because of the bone broth, it's going to have a very low fat content. On average, it's 2%. That's important. If you have a pet that ever has a sensitive stomach and needs some wet food, if they just had dental work done, or they just had surgery and the vet wants them to eat some wet food right afterwards, that 2% fat isn't going to upset their stomach. Make sure you're reading your cartons. Also, this is where we talked about we're using our Tetra Packs. Why? Because they're recyclable. They're easily broken down. They go into your curbside recycling, which is great. They're always BPA free. We're pea and lentil free. And with our bone broth, we do not use garlic or onions so that you can give it to dog or cat, and no carrageenans, no gums. We do have two options also, our medleys that are going to be vegetable free. Some pets, for whatever reason, vegetables aren't a friend or don't agree. So we do have vegetable-free options. So some of our frequently asked questions is all Stella and Chewy's oven-coated or oven-baked kibble coated? Yes. All of our kibble, whether it's our raw blends or our raw coated, is coated with our freeze-dried and baked. What protein is in the kibble coating? If it is chicken, then it's going to be a chicken freeze-dried. If it is beef, it will be beef. If it's lamb, it will be lamb. And our raw blend bags, whatever protein is in the center, we'll show the 3 proteins in the bag. Whatever the biggest animal in the center is, that is actually the meal mixture we have added to the bag. In a 3.5-pound bag, it's a 3.5-ounce meal mixture. In a 22-pound bag, it is actually an 18-ounce. And those are some really nice savings. You're saving about $40, give or take, with your raw blend 22-pound bags. You know, we're always trying to figure out ways as consumers, how can we give the best but save a little money at the same time? There's a happy medium there. Again, if you can get a little bit of freeze-dried into that pet's diet, a little bit of raw, you're going to help with their teeth. You're going to help with their weight because we've lowered their carbohydrates. Their energy levels. I have a 12-year-old border collie mix who acts like she's a year. She eats a little bit of kibble. She eats a lot of raw. She also, when you're feeding raw, you also don't have to give as much water. Why? Because they're getting moisture in their diet. That's important. You know, those hot summer days, our pets need moisture. They need moisture to help digest. Sometimes with our pets also, if you think about it, dry skin isn't always an issue of omegas. Sometimes it's a moisture issue. So getting some raw or some rehydrated freeze-dried into that diet can make a huge difference. Some other things, isn't all kibble baked? No, all kibble is not baked. Stella and Chewy's, our red bags are always baked kibble. We do make our Stella Essentials, which is actually an extruded product. Traditional kibble is flash cooked, meaning high heat, high pressure, as high as 500 degrees. And you can lose about 40% of your nutrition. So you have to feed more of it to get what your pet actually needs. And our products, our oven baked is self-produced. We make that ourselves in our Oak Creek facility where we also do our freeze-dried and frozen. We also have a full line for cats. You know, like we talked about, our cats are obligate carnivores. In a perfect world, you know, think about it, your cat would go out and catch a bird, catch a rabbit, a chipmunk. So that's where raw fits in. It helps keep their teeth clean. We also do freeze-dried. It's nice for convenience. It has some of the same textures and scents as kibble, if that's what your cat has eaten originally. We've also, in the last year, brought out our raw coated kibble for cats. Palatability with cats is everything. Them being willing to eat it is important, which is why it took us so long to bring out a cat kibble. But this one is highly palatable. Cats love it. When we tested it against all of the other leading kibbles out there, it beats it a minimum of 3 to 1. And then we have our wet food. We have pâtés, we have morsels, and then we also have our pouches, which are all great. So with our raw and our freeze-dried, it is complete and balanced. With cats, it's actually going to be 98% meat, organ, bone. Why? Again, our cats are obligate carnivores. We have several single source options. It is formulated just for cats. Your fat and your protein will be a little higher because our cats need that. We're always going to put probiotics and taurine into our products, even the cats, especially cats. They cannot make taurine on their own. They have to eat it. And that's where your organ meats come in. And then it's irresistible for cats, highly palatable. Again, if a cat won't eat it, it doesn't do you any good. You can make a dog eat anything. The cat will tell you where to go and how to get there. All of our freeze-dried and frozen cat products are going to be made in our own facility. We're going to use cage-free poultry. We're going to use farm-raised animals. We're going to do sustainably wild-caught fish. We've enhanced it with probiotics. It will be grain-free. It will be hormone and antibiotic-free, potato-free, and nothing from China. Our cat kibble, we have 3 raw coated options, and then we have 2 raw blends. So this is actually a highly palatable kibble, high protein. You've got your least processed protein with that freeze-dried coating on it. Meat is the number 1 and number 2 ingredient. That's important. We want to make sure we're getting plenty of meat in there for them because they have to have a animal meat protein rich diet. And with the kibble, it's 65 to 70%, rich in organ meat, grain-free, potato-free, and low carb. Again, carbohydrates, both for our dogs and cats, we want to make sure we're keeping them low. It's rich in omegas and fatty acids for the skin and coat. No pea protein, no powdered cellulose, nothing artificial in there, no byproducts. And what's really important is for those cats that have renal issues, this is actually low in ash, which is something that you need when your cat has renal concerns. 1 out of 2 cats has renal disease. And so we want to be very careful with what we're feeding them. And this is a nice way to not have to use a prescription diet if they're being funny with it or add it to that. And you're getting that freeze-dried raw into their diets. You're adding that raw, which is easier for them to process. Our wet foods we have multiple options. They're all 100% human-grade meat. In our Tetra Packs, it actually comes in not only a pate, but in morsels. And it's all going to be in a bone broth base. Again, palatability is huge. For cats with IBS and IBD, also cats that have renal issues, because it is actually hand stripped, it's going to be low in phosphorus and calcium as well, which is a concern for our cats with renal issues. Our pouches are actually not made here in the US. Our Tetra Packs are. They're made in the Campbell's Organic soup facilities. Our pouches are actually going to come from overseas, but it is a facility that actually is human grade. There are several pouch companies that use the same one. Subway tuna actually comes out of that same facility. So the nice thing is it is still a high quality product that is it's highly regulated to make sure our pets are getting only the good stuff. Did we have any questions or concerns? Anything I can answer for anyone?
Doesn't look like we have any questions that came in. Yeah, we do have some fans that say they love Stella and Chewy's, and thanks for all the great information. That was wonderful. Thank you, Kimberly.
Yes.
I briefly wanted to highlight our specials really quickly for the month. So all month long, we've been having Stella specials for Pettoberfest, and you can still take advantage of them till the end of the month. So on any of the kibbles, we have $3 off the small bags, $5 off medium bags, and $7 off on large bags of kibble. Any of the wet foods, you can mix and match bone broths, morsels, pates. They are buy 3, get 1 free on all of our Stella and Chewy wet foods. And then if you spend $40 or more on any freeze-dried or frozen raw products, we're going to give you a free Stella and Chewy's treat from your choice. So you can pick any of the organ meat treats, a wild weenie, a baked kibble, lots of great options.
That's fantastic. That's a $10 value, guys. Can't beat that.
It's a great value. So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was about to say, the big thing is if you're not sure where to start with Stella and Chewy's products, Meal mixers are a great place to start. You can use them as a treat. You can use them as a topper. You can use them as a complete meal. They're easy to travel with. They're easy to train with. Add a little bit to your current kibble. Make sure if you're using them as a topper or as a meal that you're rehydrating them. We have great bone broth. The nice thing is it's shelf stable. You open it, you pour some in, you put it in the fridge. Bone broth is great. So is goat's milk. You guys, I believe, carry, I know you have Primal. You may have a couple other brands, but goat's milk is another great addition, guys, to rehydrate with. And if you find that your dog loves the meal mixers and you're using a different kibble, then you can step up and try the raw coated kibble. Anything that we make is guaranteed. If you try it and you're just not sure, your pet decides that's just not the right one, it's fine. We will take care of it. Bring it back. Everything is guaranteed, so don't ever be afraid to try it.
Absolutely. And we actually do have a question that just came in from Brandy. She said, I feed my dogs a combination of kibble and raw, but have heard conflicting information about whether it's appropriate to mix them. Do you know if there's some reason the raw should be fed separately rather than mixed?
The only time that I would say not to feed kibble and raw at the same time is if you have a pet with an extremely sensitive stomach. Usually the way I determine that is if you have friends come over and your pet gets some random food they normally wouldn't, and you spend the whole next day cleaning that up, that would be a sensitive stomach. But no, there's no reason you can't combine the two. I do it all the time. It's a great way to get the benefits of both and find a cost-effective way to do it. Getting that raw in there is so important, that freeze-dried raw, not only for their teeth, but for their overall health, for their digestion, for their weight. Their overall energy level is better when we give them something least processed. So I love that you're mixing the two and there's no reason you can't.
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Brandy.
Thank you, Brandy.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to share with us today, Kimberly? Or
no, guys, go out and try it. You've got some fantastic deals there. The buy 3, get 1. You've got spend $40, which is easy to do. Get a free bag of treats. That's a $10 value.
Absolutely.
Come with that. Hand them out to your friends. Hand them out to the pups that come for Thanksgiving or trick or treating this weekend. Don't forget, and the kitties.
All righty. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you especially to Kimberly for your time today. We really appreciate it. And just a reminder, absolutely, thank you. And a quick reminder to everybody, we are coming to a close on our series. We do have one more lunch and learn tomorrow. It will be again at noon with hallway feeds, but just a reminder, anybody, if you're tuning in now and you've missed a previous one throughout the month, make sure to check our Facebook page out or our YouTube channel. You can watch any of those again. They will be there for a long time. And make sure to follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram. Stay up to date with everything we have going on, and that's the best place to find out our specials and all of our events that go on throughout the month. So thank you again, Kimberly. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Have a great day.